action.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another D6 Wounds podcast. I am here with none other than fellow wargamer and international man of mystery, James Wrightson. Good evening.
Hi, Simon. How you doing? It's good to see you.
I'm well, thanks. Yeah, good to get you on one of these. Is this your first one on the channel?
I think it's my first appearance on YouTube with a talking role. I might add. I've been in a few battle reports and a couple of your own, actually, to be fair. But you're the first person that's ever asked me to open my mouth about anything. But yeah, but,
Well, I'm
it's
surprised we haven't had you on one of the eighth ed ones,
yeah.
chatting
Well,
about eighth ed.
consider I think of what was it four tournaments of yours have been to so far. I think 2023, 24, and then 25. Yeah, so three tournaments. So
Yeah,
3 years. It's not bad.
a seasoned gamer.
Yeah.
So, topics for discussion today. There's the Attack of the Forest Goblins event that we've recently
Mm.
done, a one-dayer Warhammer the Old World event in London. So we'll have a chat about that. They were using the square-based comp system, so I'm keen to
Mm.
get your views on the square-based comp and talk about comp more generally,
Yeah.
which is what everyone's talking about at the moment.
Yeah. It feels like was it last Sunday or the Sunday before? It feels only a few days ago we were staring at each
Yeah,
other across a gaming table. So that was pretty fresh, right?
yeah, I think like 10 days ago, something like
Something
that.
like that. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Um, and then, have a chat about Old World generally. And then later, we've got time. I hope to put some pictures on the screen of our game because, spoiler, we played each other at the event. So maybe go through that game and get your thoughts on 1.5 and the future of the edition. But I also hope to sort of ask you about you as well because I think you're an interesting guy, um,
Yeah.
and I mean that in a couple of senses. Uh, in
Choose your
well,
words carefully, Simon.
from from getting to know you personally, but also because I think that you're, and this is one of the reasons why I wanted you on the channel, representative of quite a big group of people in the hobby. In that you're someone who played Eighth Edition, and others would have played Ninth Age or Sixth Edition or whatever. And then when Old World came out, read the rules, played a few games, and then sort of thought to themselves, "You'll tell me if this is a fair description of how you thought." This is has a lot of good things to it, but also it's not quite. It's got a long way to go before it's something that I really want to put a lot of time and effort into it, and then sort of took a step back from it, and then recently you've come back into it again. Is that a fair summary?
Yeah, I think that's very fair, to be honest. I kind of, I mean, I had an army lined up. I knew Tomb Kings were going to come out as like a launch faction. And had kind of started putting them together, largely actually for 8th edition. I was considering taking them to one of your tournaments, but I think it was probably a combination of factors, that particular army, and then the state of the old world when it first launched. I think I just fell off the wagon a bit with it. I'm sure we'll talk a bit more in detail later, but I think you probably captured it pretty well.
Yeah.
Probably a TLDR for my whole perspective. It's like, I've got one big question for the old world, having been an eighth player and other editions. It's like, well, am I glad it exists? And so, well, initially, no, I wasn't glad
Okay.
it was existing. It was kind of ruining the game that I really like. But now, actually, I'd say, my opinions pretty much changed. I'm more getting into it, getting, know a lot more people in the community and are enjoying it a lot more. So I would say now, yeah, the answer is yes, I am glad it exists.
Yeah.
Probably with some caveats and, some speculation, some of the things we can probably get into a little bit later. But yeah, I think you captured that well, to be fair.
Are you trying to sort of split your time between different editions and different game systems, or are you focusing more on Old World?
Yeah, so I mean, you say I'm probably representative of a lot of people. I play a
Yeah.
lot of what you'd call like dead systems or not supported systems by Games Workshop. So Epic 40K, Mordheim, Warhammer 5th edition. I played a day in a Bad Moon playing that not too long ago. So even Man of War, actually, quite a big fan of Man of
Yeah.
War as well. So yeah, I'm into fairly niche kind of hobby systems myself. So yeah, so there's some of my other games, but I would also say probably between Old World and Eighth Edition is where I'm spending the majority of my hobby time, either painting or playing the games. Well, what I find funny for me, which I think is the total opposite, certainly talking to Luke and other people, is like I find I get better at 8th edition when I play Old World, and
Mm.
I get better at Old World when I've been playing 8th edition.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I don't know why that is, but for me, it's like I feel like it just resets my brain and gets me, better,
yeah.
picks up my game in one versus the other, So yeah.
There's certainly some transferable skills between different editions.
I would say, well, yeah, I mean, they're pretty close. Yeah,
Yeah,
for any criticisms or I like this, system versus that,
yeah,
they're still very similar. They're both Warhammer. You
yeah,
put one on the table and then another. You'd be hard pressed to tell the difference between the two.
yeah, yeah.
If you're an outsider, right? So yeah,
But there's different styles of play, aren't there?
yeah,
So
for sure, for sure.
things like chaffing, for example, I find isn't as widely used in Old World. Um,
Yeah, it's a bit tougher, isn't it? Considering like a lot of the throwaway units are more like skirmishes, so you can't really don't
yeah,
redirect in the same way. And then it's a much more mobile edition. Don't
yeah.
get me wrong,
Or
your
the, well,
phone, but
yeah,
everything moves a
arguably,
lot faster, right?
yeah, arguably too mobile, right? Because all of the
Mm,
skirmishes, there's lots of flying monsters, there's lots of 360 charge arcs, and so the chaff throwaway unit isn't quite as useful. Whereas
mm.
previous editions, when everything had a charge arc, there weren't as many flyers.
Yeah, I remember one of the first time I think I played, must have been Luke and this bloody unicorns. This Bretonians, he got this tiny little thing just sits
Oh,
there,
the
and you're like,
unicorn.
ah.
Yeah, yeah, that's a bit dodgy, that
I
one.
think I was playing Chaos or something against him, and you're like, I mean, obviously, that's the game, but you're like, oh,
Yeah,
this little two-wound guy is going to stop this entire regiment. So yeah, I mean, yeah, every edition has its foibles, I think.
yeah. So the event last week then,
Mm.
what made you buy a ticket apart from it being in London and
Well, I mean, yeah, one, I would say really great event. It's run by Matt Crawford and Nick Boucher. I hope I'm pronouncing his second name right. But we're actually, they're all based in or around Walthamstow, and are actually part of a WhatsApp group, which have been part of pretty much since Old World came out. I think I played Matt was probably maybe the third or fourth game of Old World. I think you were actually the first game
okay.
when we played in Dark Sphere. I'd started to dip into some of the more narrative, kind of fluffy games. There's a guy called Pip Hamilton who'd ran a campaign that was like Empire and Vampires and a bit of Bretonians and other things like that. So I'd kind of got used that to try and get back into it and use a different faction. I do want to try and get back into the game, especially after 1.5. So I think that's where I landed up, and there I was on Sunday in our first game. After me saying, "Yeah, I'm going to come and attack you with my Tomb Kings," and then proceeded to avoid you the whole game.
Yeah, we'll get into that a bit later. Yeah. I mean,
Right, yeah.
so for me personally, right? I mean, these right now with what's everything that's going on in my life, these events are kind of the only times I get to actually play some games because
Yeah.
just
Oh,
playing a
wow.
game
Okay.
here
Fair
and
enough.
there
Yeah.
is very time consuming. And
Yeah.
if I
Yeah.
can get 3 games done in the same day against 3 different opponents, that's
Yeah.
like a really
That's
good win for
perfect
me.
for you. Yeah, that
Yeah,
makes
so
sense.
I try to support those events. And also I really want to support the events that use the Renegades pack,
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I
which
think they've,
I feel quite strongly about. I mean, I'm not to say that I would boycott an event that doesn't use them, but like I've been going to these events organized by Sid at Bad Moon Cafe,
yeah.
which have been really good. I've been to 3 of them now, 1 day events. And on the third one, he stopped using the Renegade pack, which I thought was a bit of a backward step because he's been using it up until now, and people have been, playing their Renegade factions and all that.
Yeah. It's
So I
really
thought,
innocuous
let's
as
let's try some
well.
other events and give that one a break for now.
Yeah.
And yeah,
That's an interesting. I mean, I think the guys at Square Base, I do want to go to one of their tournaments. They sound like, a real blast. They've done a lot for the game, I would say. The Renegade pack, I mean, it's made some of the factions playable there, or at least playable in the way that you'd recognize, like Slans can join units and other things like, or Temple Guard and things like that. And then they seem to be leading the charge somewhat with comp, which is, as I say, I really like. But yeah, I wouldn't understand really why you would stop using renegades. They're not the most egregious thing in the game, I wouldn't have said, but I'm sure they
yeah.
had their reasons,
Well, I mean, we
Yeah.
asked him on the group chat, and lots of people asked him, right? And I think basically he said that he just wanted to bring it more in line with what the other competitive events were doing, because a lot of the
Okay.
more competitive events in the country don't use it.
Right.
Um,
Okay. Well, that's
and
probably where I differ and where I like comp, to be honest. There's a
yeah,
lot,
yeah,
for me, I mentioned I'm into all these like quote unquote dead systems, and it's like it's the first time I've really been involved with a game that's supported. I haven't really played any since I was like 14, at least, anyway, where fifth edition was out.
mm,
So for me with comp, I'm like, it kind of slows down like a final meta is kind of my view on it, which to me gives the game or potentially gives the game more longevity and can potentially challenge. You've got some pros at it at the moment, some people that are doing really, really well, winning lots of tournaments. It's an extra challenge for them and gives maybe some of the underdogs a bit of a chance
mm,
also because every different tournament can have a slightly different angle to it. I mean, of course, the really, really strong players are probably going to come out on top, but you've got a bit of a mix and it prevents that kind of eventual staleness of the game. I think that's possibly something with comp that gets ignored somewhat. Certainly, I've enjoyed, the last few tournaments you, Luke, and Mark have ran, where you've kind of mixed your comp up a little bit. You've had, you've included some kind of objectives and other things like that that genuinely have an impact on the game. And you get this kind of like sub meta of almost like comp hammer after that. It's like, what's the kind of best crap army I can build that can kind of, win enough games to get into the top. So I always find that side of it very fun. And I generally like I'm not sure whether the right phrase is counterculture, but I like the idea of the fans actually kind of dictating how the game goes rather
mm.
than the original creators of it. So yeah, sorry, I feel like I've taken this off on a bit of a tangent there, but
No,
yeah,
you've picked
I'm
up on lots
passionate
of
about
things.
comps.
You've picked up on lots of things that I wanted to dive into. I mean, so let's
Yeah.
just take, for example, well, you mentioned the staleness, right? I mean, I don't think that Games Workshop will allow Old World to ever get to a final meta, right? Because they're
Mm.
changing it so quickly. There's so many arcane journals being released.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's an
Yeah.
FAQ document every 6 months. I mean, that FAQ document is really long now. It's longer after 18 months to 2 years of Old World. It's longer than the final eighth edition FAQ
Yeah.
after 10 years or whatever it was. And so,
It's crazy, isn't
there's
it?
there's lots of rules changes, lots of updates. There might be a new edition on the horizon. There's no way that any comp system or any meta can keep up. And
Yeah, that is
and
true. That is true.
okay, and this is sort of what I was discussing on my last podcast with Luke, is that kind of favors the player who, can 3D print armies and
Yeah, get
can,
stuff out,
can
which doesn't necessarily help Games Workshop's bottom line, but yeah, it is what it
right,
is.
right. But the very quick player who can adapt and bash out an army quickly for an
Yeah.
event, is in a good spot, I suppose. But I'm not so bothered about that. But I mean, the square-based comp that we played, right? I mean, that's quite fresh at the moment, and
Mm.
this was one of the first events, perhaps with the exception of the TSN in Nottingham, where we're actually using the square-based comp, at least in London that I can see, right?
Yeah, yeah. I
Um,
think Matt was keen to kind of get out the door quite quick with one of
yeah,
them. Yeah,
no, that's
yeah,
good, and that's another reason why I got a ticket, because I wanted to see what effect that's going to have. I mean, there was a great spread of armies for a start, right? I mean, there were two Skaven armies, there was two
yeah, yeah. It was really good
Mindfall
turnout actually,
White
right?
Herd armies. There was no Cathay, no vampire counts.
Mm.
So in a sense, you just look at the army selection; it's kind of done a job there already, hasn't it?
Yeah,
Which, of course, is not perfect. What people want ultimately is for every army to be present, but for them all to be equally competitive.
yeah,
That's the pinnacle, which we're never going to
yeah.
get to there. But if it's producing a better selection of armies, that's a good start, isn't it?
I think so, yeah. I mean, there's a certain element of, this is I'm sure Matt's own admission, relatively small tournament and friendly, friendly,
Yeah.
not, super competitive as well.
How
So
many were there? Like 20, 24?
about 20 or so, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Something like
yeah.
that. So whether you would see, these kind of roided out Cathay armies or anything like that, I'm not too
Roy.
sure.
Yeah, yeah,
Super balloons and all the rest of it.
yeah, yeah.
Whether that's a good sample size or sample to see that kind of thing. But still, yeah, the breadth of armies I found was really good. But my worry at the moment, and I say, I'm getting back into it. I'm glad it exists. I haven't played against Cathay yet, and I haven't played the worst of vampires yet either. I know, to be fair, I know there's a new FAQ or something coming out. It's like January or something, which I imagine, you would hope would fix some of those things. But I do wonder if I play against one of those, it'll be another one, face palm moment.
Yeah,
Like, what game am I playing again? What is
yeah.
this?
No, it is pretty grim. Like you,
Yeah,
I've never played Cathay.
yeah,
Um, I've been at events where there's been Cathay armies floating about, but I haven't yet met one.
yeah.
And I have played against a meta vampire council list once, and that
Mm.
was pretty grim.
Yeah, yeah, it's
Yeah,
just like I assume Super Scream list with Graveguard in the middle,
yeah.
and that's it basically. Yeah,
A million zombies and
yeah, yeah,
and there's lots of screams and then they debuff your leadership and yeah,
yeah.
it's just um it's not very fun. But then again, I think there's other armies that can be played in not very fun ways as
Yeah,
well.
Tomb King's big time, I would say as
Yeah,
well, right?
spamming Boshabti, Mortuary
Yeah,
Cult, spamming gyrocopters, spamming fanatics.
yeah,
There's lots of ways which can make it
yeah.
they're
More
not
kill bad
unbeatable,
or
but it's
knock
like if you're
people.
taking an all-comers list, if you don't have the tools to beat that list, it's not going to be fun.
Yeah,
Yeah, like if you're playing against loads of gyrocopters and you don't have anything that shoots, for example, and you're just trying to chase them around the board aimlessly, that's
yeah.
not fun.
It's like what game is that really?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you'd hope then you go on to play and have an actual good interactive game after probably losing or drawing that last one.
Yeah, but that's
Guess
but
that's the
that's but
benefit of
that's
tournaments. But yeah,
yeah, I mean we're used to that with eight to have a more sort of granular comp system which penalizes and rewards certain units.
well, yeah.
Whereas a simplified comp, and I like the square-based comp because it's simple, but it doesn't address it still has to be played in a gentlemanly way, right? It doesn't
Yeah,
address like the competitive gamer that kind of wants to try and break the system. They can still easily break it, right?
yeah. I like it. I mean, it gets the foot in the door. I don't
Yeah.
think it's like the perfect comp, but it's a comp that people can get behind. Is how I kind of feel about that one. I mean, it had some kind of granularities which are a little tricky, and you've got to kind of multiply
Mm,
or divide by whichever tier you're playing against, but that's only kill points. But then things like trophies of war don't factor in. So there's a little bit of nitty gritty you got to work out, but it's generally a nice, simple system that gets people engaged with comp and thinking, comp's not such a baddie after all.
yeah.
And if they can influence, more and more events, because they're fairly sizable, I gather, if they can influence more events to use a comp, if not their own, then that's good in my book. Does it fix everything? I think you're probably right there. It's not gonna. You could stick that horrible Cathay or Vampire Army in front of any number of thousands of points of scave, and it's
Yeah.
basically, it's just more meat for the grinder. I did find that. I think I played Nick. He, is one of the tournament organizers there. He was using the Beastmen. I forget what the name of the list is, but the bad Beastman list essentially. And he had this massive, huge Death Star in the middle. Basically a big plate of beef. I was playing a Tomb Kings list. My aim was like get through 6 turns with Tomb Kings, so it was
Yeah.
fairly slim. Took a dragon for the first time, or a dragon that actually goes and fights rather than just a wound
Mm.
harvester in the mid, like the king on dragon, and
The
then
unkillable one, yeah.
sphinxes, and it's like even with that, you're going with Tomb Kings, and the three of them just eventually just gobbled up this entire like 50 odd unit. Had like Minotaur heroes, this, that, and the other. And it's just slowly getting eaten away, and I'm like, kudos for Nick for taking, a lower rung army, but there's somewhere it doesn't matter how many points you're putting on
Yeah.
the table, it's just more points to kill, basically, isn't it? Is the way I'd feel about that.
So for the benefit of people who might be watching who
Yeah, you
maybe
probably want to
don't know
explain it, right?
what square based is, there's essentially four tiers of army, right? A, B, C, and D. Um, if you're an A tier army, you're bringing 2,000 points. B tier army, you're bringing 2,200, and then C is 2,400, D is 2,600. So you might be playing a game where the points are unequal on each side. And also there's a kill point modifier to add a bit more complexity as well, whereby you're adjusting it so that the actual maximum kill points you can get is still the 2,000 plus, standard bearers and all the rest of it, from a 2,000 2,600, 2,400 point lists. So it's, a way of evening up the imbalance between the factions, which is probably one of the things that's come out of the 1.5 change, and that you've got sort of Cathay up in the stratosphere, and then you've got vampire counts and the sort of filthy Tomb Kings list, and then you've got, Brett's and everyone else sort of
Yeah, yeah.
trailing below. And so that it does some way to kind of rebalance that. It's a simple method.
Mm.
Um, but I like things about it. I like the fact that you can choose between the renegades and the non-renegades for the legacy factions. And I like how just taking more points incentivizes things like Skaven, which you wouldn't see Skaven armies. It gives the Skaven player think, okay, I've got a bit of an advantage. I've got something, you know, um, that's gonna. I'm not just playing for fluff. I'm playing because
Yeah.
I can actually win.
There's a reasonable chance, in some circumstances, right?
Yeah, yeah,
As you say, I mean, I'm sure they will evolve it, but getting people on board with a comp, I think, is probably the biggest hurdle.
yeah,
I'd love to see it evolve, or someone to evolve it, and even in our chat group, one of the guys kind of shared some working on this. I'd love to see it to get to the level that Triple Crown got to with, you can take any given army. If you take too many of the bad things, you get negative modifiers on your tournament score. If you take a lot of say bad things, the things that are too good, you get a
mm,
negative score. The things that are okay, no score at all. And then the things that are really bad in the game, really rubbish, you get positive comp for. So I'd
yeah.
love to see it get to that. But I think probably getting a consensus from the community on what's good, what's bad, what isn't,
Mm,
and then having like one authoritative voice that can kind of swing that, which I think maybe
yeah,
Squarespace might be the ones that do it, but having those two factors, I think, will be very challenging because, there's always the accusation where it's like, well, you're a Bretonian player, so you did it like that, or you're a so
yeah.
and so player. So, I think it's probably got to, that's going to be in the oven a while longer, but I'd love to see it get to that level.
It's just a step in the right direction, isn't it?
Yeah, for
Because
sure.
as
Yeah.
you said, quite rightly, some people just are not quite, they don't even want any comp at all. They just think, well,
Yeah, it's
just let the
like,
game evolve and let it play, right?
yeah.
And then the fact that we've now got some comp that people can agree on, it's simple, it's imperfect, but at least we've got something with the foot in the door in a way.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
then, like you say, it does need to be more detailed. The kind of point system comp that you're talking about, like from the Triple Crown, pluses and minuses, it does need more detail, right? Because often people will say, which I suppose is one of the criticisms of a square base comp, which is that it's not so much the faction, it's what you take within the
Yeah,
faction, right?
yeah,
So
yeah,
Bretonians are an A tier army, but you could take a relatively weak Bretonian army. But now you feel that it's not so good to take a weak Bretonian army because I've only got 2,000
yeah.
points.
Well, yeah, now I've got a max. Yeah,
Yeah,
I've heard that criticism before as well. I think, some of the guys in the group had said it's like, well, you wouldn't have the feel bad or the guilt of taking the worst possible, or the meanest possible tier A army because it's like, well, I've got the excuse now. I'm going to be playing against another 600, 400, 500 points or whatever it's going to be. So yeah, that might materialize out of it as well.
yeah,
That's going to be interesting to see. But yeah, so I'm
yeah,
glad it exists. Like I said, I do also hope, as I said, the unit based and an army based one, but I do also realize it's a big bit of work to go and do that. And I always, I think back, the amount of effort the Triple Crown guys must have gone through
yeah,
to get it to that level. I mean, I'm sure, they learned from other comp lists and other things like that, but it's like one has to go out, or one person, one group of people have to go out and build
yeah.
that. And then they've got to show it to the world and take the world's feedback from it and
And you're
be
absolutely right.
in
What you
good
said in it.
spirits as well, right?
Yeah, yeah. What you said just 5 minutes ago is absolutely right. You need someone, a figure with some kind of authority, right? Because at the
Yeah.
time when Triple Crown did that, they were almost single-handedly keeping eighth edition
Yeah,
alive,
yeah.
right? And so they took we're the council, we're the government at the moment
Yeah.
of eighth edition.
Yeah.
So everyone was like, great, you take the lead on it.
Yeah.
But now, if someone like me who doesn't
Yeah,
run,
you just go,
I
so,
mean, I don't
I'll
even run
fix
old
it.
world events, right? I'd at
Yeah.
least have to start running old world events myself.
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah,
get lots of people to my events and then produce a comp system and then be like, okay, we're playing with this. Why don't you also
yeah.
play with this? Do you know what I mean?
And even then, you're going to take
Yeah.
some flack for it.
And
Let's
even
face
then, you're going to take a
it.
lot of flack. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Exactly.
for sure.
Um, at the event, there were also lots of secondaries in play at each
Yeah, yeah.
round.
Objectives, right?
Yeah, I mean, what's your view? I mean, I've kind of given up now on trying to convince people that less is more for secondaries. And I'm still in disbelief that my view is the minority view. Because I think that one or two secondaries good, four secondaries bad, is my
Yeah,
view. But
it
yeah,
it's an interesting one. I'll be honest with you. I was playing Titan Legions that whole game, or what's it called, Epic Space Marine. 'Cause it's like the 90 late 80s, early 90s games. That's all objective based basically,
right,
and it's
right.
like you win the game based on objectives. I enjoy that as as a game of Epic. A 90s Epic game. I'm having fun with it in Old World, but I realize it kind of makes it not a rank and flank game. Like, I mean, the game we had was mostly me. Well, one initially, being the
Mm.
big man in the chat. Yeah, I'm going to come and fight with us. Looking at your
Yeah,
dwarfs and like, there's no way on earth that I go and fight you and I win. So it's like, well, what can I do? I've built this relatively fast Tomb King's army, so I'll just try and jump over you and get some bits.
yeah, yeah.
Which takes me back to because I played an epic campaign not all that long ago, and I was like, well, it's kind of more like that. For me, I think less but swingier. And again, I keep on harking back to some of your tournaments. I like the last one you did where, and it also also slightly requires you moving away from win loss draw and into like 20-0 or tournament points.
Yeah.
Which probably we should talk about as well at some point.
Mm.
The win loss draw things that was the first time I've done a win loss draw. I figure one or two big swingy objectives rather than a million things dotted around the board might be more interesting, which might be if I get it, I get +3 points, tournament points, or 300 victory points, and you lose 300 tournament points. And therefore, whatever you're fighting over has more kind of gravity in the game. I think that might be interesting to try. I
Yeah.
certainly, I'm glad Games Workshop's done some of it. It's given core something to do. But I think all this is really rooted back to they created dragons, and it's like, and they wanted these great big cool models on the table, and it's like that have a million wounds, are impossible to
Mm.
kill, and can kill everything. And I think everything's just devolved or revolved around them, be
Mm.
that, rank bonuses, challenges, less close order for dragons, objectives, core units can only get objectives. So, yeah, for me, I kind of like it. It's kind of fun, but then I think it's going to wear thin for me fairly quickly. Like the novelty will wear off, where it's like you can win a game or at least not lose it by just sitting stuff and rubbing against
Mm.
some cliff face or whatever it is. And, it's a bit of a suspension of disbelief that there's so many important things on a battlefield and that, this one group of little five guys on horses are going to swing it that way.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, probably my answer there is I haven't quite made a mind upon it, but I felt at least our game, maybe a couple of the others, well, one of the others was more like Warhammer. Our game, I felt like I was playing Epic or, Epic Titan Legions.
So, I mean,
In my
I might
mind,
be
that's where
biased.
it was, right?
Yeah, so I agree with your view in that I would like fewer secondaries, but that they could be more meaningful and
Meaningful.
have more
Yeah.
victory points attached to them. I don't like the fact that your focus is too split on different things,
Mm.
and that it's possible to win the game and avoid a fight. Because I mean, I may be biased as a dwarf player, but in two out of three of my games, spoiler, one of them was our game. Um, the My opponent had, well, two dragons in one game and a dragon and two necrosphinx in our game, and I still couldn't get them to charge me and fight me.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
just want, I'm going to get your baggage train, and you know, and it was kind of like, well, um, I mean, that may be, I suppose, something my fault in a way, in that I need to make
Well,
my units more of an
I wouldn't
attractive
say
target to
so.
charge. But
Yeah,
also, I mean, I quite like King of the Hill, for example, yeah, which a lot of
yeah,
people don't like. And I understand why, because it forces a big fight in the center of the table, and it prioritizes the big units, right? And if you're an army that is prefers to have the smaller units, then you've got to throw everything in the middle, and that could be risky for you.
yeah.
But I just like the fact that it's too many victory points to ignore. It forces the fight in the middle of the table.
Yeah, I think something like that. I mean, obviously that favors a big tough unit like
Yeah,
dwarfs can kind of throw out there. But I don't know. It's kind of a symptom of the game at the moment, though, I feel. I'm not, have you ever heard of the phrase carcinization? It's basically like the notion, like all sea creatures, even, totally separate genuses are all evolving into crabs because crabs are the most efficient and useful thing. I mean, it's kind of a fallacy, but there's some truth to it. There's a bit of a meme, basically. But I feel since Games Workshop created a dragon, everything since then has kind of been, even the
Mm.
rules now, been devolving or evolving into some kind of
Yeah,
crab. And I think Dwarfs are the latest version where it's like they're just really shelling up. It's like I get a
yeah,
million, rank bonus and combat modifiers and this and that and the other. And
yeah,
eventually the dragon's just like, I don't really fancy eating that crab
yeah,
anymore. And
yeah,
it's like, it's even the rules have kind of done it where now it's like, okay, I'm sure someone in the design studio is like, this doesn't look like it does in the rule book. We've ran a few tournaments. Someone senior enough has gone, that looks like too much like Age of Sigmar, right? Get some infantry squares on.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
And it's like, okay, how can we do that? Right. Well, dragons can't kill infantry very easily anymore, and we'll stop that through some
Mm.
slightly janky means.
Yeah,
Champion challenges have always been there, but it's like, and then outnumbering this and that and the other, and then super armor values. And it's like, okay,
yeah,
so you've got your dwarf crabs, and you had for a little while these poison crabs, which were basically everything clustered together like that, shooting out. And it,
yeah,
it, it feels a little bit like that to me. And even now the rules where it's like you got to take core, so you've got your core crabs that will go and sit on these like
yeah, yeah.
objectives. So I'm using the metaphor of
No,
the
but you're right in the sense.
crabs,
Look, I
where
mean,
it's like it's kind of dragons made this all happen. Yeah.
so it's amazing, isn't it? How they started off. The game is released with 50% characters, so you can take two dragons in a
Yeah.
2,000 point game. Yeah,
Yeah.
and they've deliberately designed it so you can take two dragons in a 2,000 point game. Yeah, with 10
Yeah,
rooms.
I think sometimes even three, wasn't it? It's like you could have a
Yeah, of
Warpfire
course.
Dragon, you could have Galrook, you could have this,
Right.
that, and the
You have
other,
one in
right?
the rare section as well. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
In the character, you can have two 500 point characters,
yeah.
right? Because 1,000 point characters. So they've deliberately designed it like that. Yeah. And then all the changes they've made after that haven't been to limit it to just one dragon.
Yeah.
Instead, they've just tried to sort of adjust everything else so that you can try and fight two dragons.
Yeah,
And it's like, okay, now the infantry, they get the infantry outnumber bonus, they get the close order, whereas the dragon doesn't get anymore. They've got the +1 armor save for shields. There's the challenge out mechanic where the dragon won't get all his attacks because it
mm.
kills the champion. All of this to help infantry fight the dragons. And now I can't even get two dragons to charge my infantry.
It's like the dragons. I'm not eating that.
Yeah,
No
and
way.
in this new in the I don't know if you've seen it yet, but in this new book that's coming out this Saturday, or it might have been last Saturday actually, I can't remember. I can't keep up with
Yeah,
it
the
now.
the Marauder one, right?
Yeah, there's a magic item that all armies can take, apart from dwarves, which
Yeah,
is no stomps on the unit.
yeah. It's
So
just
they're
like
carrying on, and it's
what
just like,
what's it? It's
what
like that
like does anyone
repellent
manage
spray,
to like?
basically, isn't it? It's like keeps away foxes and dragons as well. It's like,
Yeah,
I'm
it's
not
like
eating that. I'm gonna
I
go and eat
already
this
can't
objective.
even without that item, I can't get two dragons to charge my infantry. Yeah. And now there's this item as well. The dragons have got no chance. I mean, why don't they just limit the bloody dragons instead of
Yeah.
that's the way I see it.
It,
But
it,
yeah,
it's an interesting one. I mean, I can understand design-wise why they wanted to do it. You want a cool centerpiece model,
yeah,
and possibly some naivety on their part. I think they thought they were going to release Old World. It'll be a niche product. A few people will play it. It'll never see tournament play or may not see tournament play. They never need to worry about lion hammers or a million skirmishes or chariots in units or
yeah,
dragons.
yeah,
I think there's possibly a little bit of naivety on their part and maybe not so much play testing. where they create this super efficient triple save, unkillable thing that will just point and click at anything.
Mm.
It's gonna go kill it. So I think yeah, they made that, but it's a bizarre one though, because there's a lot of criticism of Eighth, fine, but there's a hell of a lot of criticism of the end times and the end times kind of units, and probably one of the more egregious things there, at least from what I can see, not
Yeah.
having played the game a lot, but it was basically combining the rider with the mount to get an ungodly amount of wounds, super saves, and all the rest of it. And yeah, it looks cool on the tabletop, but ultimately isn't that
Mm.
fun to either use or to fight against. So it's odd that of all the things from Eighth Edition, or the kind of tail end of Eighth Edition, that was what they chose to really put in there. And it's like, and
Yeah.
it's really just dictated the shape and play of the game ever since, really. And everything else, like you say, evolving into Crab's Warriors, it was basically just a mitigation of like, we still want the dragons. We launched this massive, big dinner plate sized Tomb King's dragon. It's like, we can't not sell those anymore.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
what are the tinkering around the edges we can
So
do?
I actually like the change for
Mm.
adding the
Oh, I do.
wounds of the rider and the mount.
Mm.
I wish Eighth had that actually.
Yeah,
Um,
or some means for them to be relevant in Eighth,
yeah,
because
because then they'd
they
be much
just,
more survivable. Yeah,
yeah,
but
yeah.
don't do that, and at the same time allow triple saves
Triple saves, yeah.
and nerf the cannons in all at the same time.
Yeah, they kind of did it all, didn't they?
Yeah,
Which,
yeah,
yeah, which is the big shame, go back to Dwarfs. It's like the thing that you're missing to make you fight you, although, might need to tone down the combat res a little, it is decent artillery,
yep.
shooting. I mean, you can say that fire drakes, or is it fire drakes? What are they
Iron
called?
Drakes.
Iron Drakes, yeah, they're pretty decent, but
Yeah,
a couple of good cannons, and it's like, well, my dragon now wants to go and charge a unit because it doesn't want to be taking that in the face every turn. So,
yeah, yeah.
but sadly, the dwarves, for whatever reason, neglected to make good gunpowder during this era, or don't know what it is they're doing with their cannons, putting the balls
Yeah.
in the wrong way or something. I really don't know, but they're more like pop guns in this edition. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's kind of lacking that to actually get you to go and fight. So for me, I was like, yeah, discretion, a better part of valor. Fly ahead, go and see if there's some
I haven't given up on the dwarves yet, but yeah, I do need to
thing
tweak
they're
the list
cool. Yeah, sorry.
for competitive play. I need to tweak it so that I'm kind of forcing the enemy to come at me because I can
Mm,
sit on the special feature in the middle or the one of the strategic locations and pick up a few VPs. But if my baggage train is left unattended
yeah,
and it's domination at the end,
yeah,
the enemy can just
mitigates
think,
it.
"Oh, I'm gonna nick that baggage train. I'm gonna put some units around here, and then what? I'm gonna kill one of your gyrocopters, and then what are you gonna do?" You know?
Small win, yeah,
Yeah.
or a draw, yeah, which is a shame. I'll be honest with you, Simon. I saw your video on the with your Chaos Dwarves, and I was like, oh yeah, Simon's going to this. I really want to play against those Chaos Dwarves. They look really cool.
They're coming. They're coming.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I played a couple of events with them, which I've made the video on, and then I'm sort of just painting some Black Orcs at the moment.
Mm. Oh, nice.
Um,
Yeah.
and I need to change the list a bit because, well, actually, I mean, I could play maybe with higher than 2,000 points if I do another square based comp
Yeah.
event.
True. True.
But at the moment, I just need a different play style because I have too few units basically, and I need some
Mm.
more units on the board.
Yeah, and you got to play Tomb Kings like 3 times as well. So I can't believe that keeps happening to you. It's like 3 tournaments every first game's been Tomb Kings.
Yeah.
Bet you were thrilled when you played me.
At least it's not vampire counts, I suppose.
Well, yeah, there is that, right?
So let's talk about you a little bit, James. So how did you? I mean, you've told us a little bit about your history of playing, getting into or getting back into Warhammer Fantasy and getting into Old World. Um, what's your favorite faction in Warhammer? Is it Tomb
Uh,
Kings?
no, actually not
No.
Tomb Kings. It's funny, I can probably give you War and Peace on me getting into Warhammer, but I basically I started off. I think it was about 8 or 9. I got a set of Space Crusade from my grandparents for Christmas, which is like my first foray into it. But then really kind of was aware of Games Workshop and Warhammer as an entity from probably age 11. I got into second edition Warhammer 40K. And then probably towards the tail end of my first foray, 13, 14, I got into fantasy fifth edition. And my faction then was Dark Elves. I'm not sure if it's got anything to do with what the front cover of the Dark Elf army book looked like at the time. You know, those around our age will probably know what I'm talking about, but that probably had some sway on teenage James, you know. But I really did quite like the Dark Elves. I did like the purples. I like
Hmm.
the purples, the blues, the color of it, and just thought they looked pretty cool. So I got into them as a faction as a kid, and then I think you're similar, Simon. You did the big 20 odd, 25-year odd hiatus getting
Yeah,
out
yeah.
of yeah, so similarly, and I was like, the teenage pursuit, but always kind of stayed interested in it.
So you played fantasy before you played 40k and epic.
So 40k first, that was
40k
second
first.
edition 40k first.
Yeah.
And then I got interested in fantasy. I think I started reading like The Lord of the Rings. That got me interested in the idea of fantasy. Collected a Dark Elf army as a kid. And then probably my last game as a kid was 14. I remember I had like a regular opponent who kept on buying different armies. And my last ever game was against Chaos. And then for whatever reason, I mean, you're never aware of your last ever something at the time, but that was my last ever game for like 25 years. And then reason I brought up Space Crusade, I moved to Singapore in like 2018, and my brother visited in 2019, and he bought me for my birthday a set of Space Crusade, and that basically just opened the floodgates again. It's like my girlfriend, now wife Liz, was oh, this is really interesting. I'm like, oh, cool, I can be a nerd and she won't care. So I was like, I made up for like 25 years. So I first of all bought Dark Elves again, bought the book. Liz was interested in giving it a go as well. We got a Chaos Army. And I just felt Dark Elves in eighth edition, as much as I like the aesthetic, I was like, they're just a bit too good. I found, all the re-roll this, re-roll that, so between that and me and Liz finding out we shouldn't really play competitive games and hope for a successful marriage. So, we only play co-op games these days. So I kind of inherited Liz's Chaos Army. And that became my kind of main army for Warhammer Fantasy,
Yeah.
So I was going out playing games with that. Your all three of the tournaments for eighth edition and the Triple Crown one I went to, I used Chaos as well, some derivatives of kind of lists, So I'm torn really. I mean, I went pretty crazy, honestly. I think there was a latent hoarder in me where, catch up on 25 years because I think I've pretty much got well, all but maybe three armies.
Okay.
Yeah, I went crazy for a little while.
Yeah, yeah.
Particularly in Singapore, where it's like you can get all the old stuff really cheap. Like,
Mm.
typically there's a value on the newer things. And, I was just kind of going around the equivalent of eBay. It's like, hey, you're selling this, selling that. And just picked up loads of really cheap, mid, early hammer kind of models as well. So, just stuff them all in storage and move them back to the UK. So yeah, if I'm to answer that, probably my favorite two factions. Like I do want to do an old hammer Dark Elf army. Chaos I've probably painted the most of. Tomb Kings I've always really liked, mostly because I was going to use them for an eighth comp with the Kenrick Titan, which is why I've got, you'll probably see if you're sharing the pictures, why I've got a dragon that is a big beetle. Because, if I ever play like new players trying to get people into eighth edition, like them playing against Tomb Kings is a nice gentle army to play. It's like it'll look like they're losing for a second and then it all falls apart for me with the Tomb Kings. I'd kind of started a bit on them before Old World came out. It's like, well, I might as well go the whole 9 yards, paint them.
Yeah.
And that's where I ended up with them. But then I found, and this is probably why I fell off the wagon a bit with Old World, it's like there's so much administration to play in the Tomb King's army. And if I have any criticisms, I'm like, there's so many interjections of magic and command
Yeah.
bits within the game system, and like the Tomb Kings just brings out the worst of that. And I really just didn't enjoy doing it. It's like you do a good 10 minutes of, resurrect this, my will be done, resurrect that, three types of different buffing spell, thinking about which one you want to cast it on. you either get a choice if it goes on one unit or multiple. It's like you
Mm.
do 10 minutes of that before you play the game every
Yeah,
turn. And
yeah,
I'm like, that really kind of turned me off to it. I realized I was playing slowly in the games as well, and you think there's a certain level of guilt doing that. And I'm like, I'm not trying to be slow. Just this is like
mm.
a real
Yeah,
headache. And then, some of the early games I was trying was with the Royal Host, very early games. And then you've got Motley Crue on top of that. And then you're going into close combat, and it's like regeneration counts as a wound, but they don't die, and you're like, oh my God, my head's gonna pop,
yeah.
So we've gone on a tangent on hating Tomb
That is
King.
cool. Yeah, I was chatting to Nav the other day. You've played him,
Oh
right?
yeah, yeah, I played him not that
And
long ago.
during the 1.0 edition, right, he would said, look, whenever I play Tomb Kings, I have a look at their spells at the start of the game. I say, what's the casting values of this? Okay, so don't roll dice for any of those spells, okay? You get it automatically. Just put the card down on the table and speed it up.
Yeah.
It's like fair play.
He's not a man of tremendous patience for that kind of
Exactly.
game.
Yeah. Don't roll those dice. Just you get it automatically.
Yeah, yeah, that definitely sounds familiar.
Yeah.
But it's kind of funny. Sorry to go on
Go,
about
go,
it.
go, go, go.
It's fine. You can kind of see where I stopped enjoying the game. So I painted a whole bunch of Tomb Kings and I never painted the shields. It was encapsulated and frozen in time when James did not like this anymore. And it's
Yeah.
like none of all the guys just walking around with an arm like that, but no shield.
So I'll as just for the benefit of our viewers, I'm gonna put James's army on the screen
Oh, cheers, thanks.
very
See,
soon, and we can have a look at some of these Tomb Kings.
yeah, see, there's quite a
But from
shield.
what you've just said, it kind of sounds like then, in that you don't sort of have an immediate go-to favorite army. It's more like what you're enjoying painting, what you're enjoying playing with, and that can change depending on the game.
Yeah, I would say so. And probably as a
Sorry,
paint.
while you're talking, I've just got to close this window. But yeah,
Yeah, yeah, no, go for it. So yeah, I was saying what I'm actually working on at the moment is I'm trying to do what would I call it, like a trifecta of Empire.
yeah,
That's what I'm working on at the moment. So I'm doing. I painted a Man of War fleet, which is Empire. I don't feel particular affinity for Empire as a faction and the way they play on the tabletop, but it really kind of gives me like the nostalgia feels when I look at Red era Empire, with all the reds and the yellows and the big feathers and all the rest of it. So I painted like last year, and I actually played on Crown of Command's channel with my Man of War fleet. So I painted a red and black Man of War fleet. So my aim is I painted that. I'm now working on red era, so 80s, early 90s, 28 mil, so Warhammer Fantasy / Old World Empire Army. And then I also play War Master, quite into that game. I absolutely love War Master, to be fair. I'm going to do 12, or whatever scale. It's either 12 or 15 mil scale. So the aim is I'm going to have, the kind of this army sails around in these boats and, the skirmish is this
yeah,
size and the big war is the War Master scale.
brilliant.
So yeah, I'm kind of probably a victim of whims occasionally
Yeah.
on painting stuff. But yeah, that's my current kind of interest, I would say.
Well, the red era is right up my alley.
Yeah, it's
Um,
perfect, isn't it? Right?
yeah.
Yeah, I
Um,
love your dwarfs, and then like seeing those chaos dwarfs, I'm like, yeah, that takes me there. But I would even say I think there's probably two models that really take me back to my childhood and make me think, yeah, I've walked into a Games Workshop. One was the Lamassu
mm,
from. It's like, what the hell is that thing? Big
yeah.
red angry beard face. And the other one I think was the Imperator Titan from
Oh yeah.
Legions. Like it was big for a model then,
Yeah. Yeah.
bright red, sat on there. I'm like, well, what is this? What are these things? So yeah, that's definitely a draw for me and passion for the game. And as much as I may criticize Old World and even Eighth, and Games Workshop, yeah, I do love them as a company. It's like one, they're a British success story. I think that I've heard they're bigger than the monarchy for the economy, bigger than the
Yeah.
food industry. All this, they do work some magic as for every kind of stumble they make. I do quite like them. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The height of the nostalgia for me was the Orc Shaman on Wyvern
Yeah,
that they
with the
re-released.
claw up, the one that predated Azhag or was the early Azhag the Slaughter. I think he was in a battle report being
Yeah, no,
called
there's a
Azhag.
separate model for Azag, but they came out at a similar time, didn't they?
Yeah, so
Like the Marauder one, the Marauder one.
the Marauder one. So
Yeah.
yeah, I've actually got a white dwarf with that one in, and it's played as just called as
Ah,
Hag the Slaughterer
right, right.
before I think
The model came out.
like a
Yeah.
rule set was created for him. And then I got the Azhag the Slaughterer model as a kid,
Mm.
which is essentially the same wyvern or wyvern.
With
But
plastic wings instead.
yeah, plastic wings and the foot's on the floor so it
Yeah.
doesn't just fall.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, as so many have fallen casualty to their own
Yeah.
way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's
Cool.
have a look
Yeah.
at pictures. Go on, Simon.
Yeah. Let's do it. Yeah. 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 I was just gonna remark as I'm getting these pictures up that it was interesting. You said you had a sort of big pile of shame across lots of different armies.
Yeah,
Because
it's really
I mean, I've got a massive pile of shame, but it's all dwarfs and orcs and goblins, and I've just got like every model. But like at one point, that'll be like my life's work, and I'll just go through and paint like loads of old metal dwarfs
one day. Yeah.
one day.
Yeah. This is the thing I want to say, being part of like a new, a current game system, which is a first for me. And mentioning, it's triggered that latent hoarder with like older editions, or with playing the older games. Like, I'm terrible for just buying anything that Games Workshop's throwing out. It's like, and I feel like I'm missing out if I'm not, So, that's kind of a gift and a curse in its own right. But yeah, sorry, I'm chatting
Yeah.
away. We've got,
No,
your
I can
beautiful dwarf
resist
army.
buying the sort of new plastic models, but yeah, it's very tempting when they do those made to orders, isn't it?
Well, yeah, the halberdiers, Empire halberdiers, is
Yeah.
what's just, made my wallet a lot lighter.
Okay, so mini battle report here.
Yeah.
Um, this is my dwarves, so it's 2,400 points on the square base comp. So I've got the King on shield bearers, I've got the Thane BSB on shield bearers. I won't go through all the runes now. I've got the Anvil of Doom, which I don't normally run, but because it was 2,400 points, I thought let's go for it. The other two characters just behind them, you can see one Doomseeker and the Gun Thane, which I'm using that engineer model for. And then I've got a block of they're actually Longbeards on the right with hand weapon and shield. I do have Longbeard models, but because I wasn't my Longbeard models have great weapons, I thought let's just use these models because they've got hand weapon and shield.
Yeah.
Um, and then I've got the block of Rangers on the left there, two sticks of Iron Drakes in the back, and then there's four gyrocopters. Now I actually forgot in past editions you've been able to take more than 3 units of gyrocopters, so you can take four single ones. Anyway, so I've got 1 unit of two gyrocopters and 2 units of one.
Mm. Now,
Um,
I was really scared of them, though. Either they would go and sit on the baggage train,
mm,
or because I took the risk of having my Hierophant with sorry, my cats are just running around, got the zoomies, my Hierophant on a flying carpet, and I was like, oh my God, is he just going to bomb the hell out of this Hierophant?
yeah,
But thankfully, it didn't happen to me.
yeah. The gyrocopters, they're fantastic. I mean,
Yeah,
they were fantastic in the last edition. They're still fantastic now. Um, but I don't want to paint loads of them and use the kind of air squadron
yeah, it's
batter
not fun, is
guns.
it?
Yeah, I just run them with the steam guns
Yeah. I
and
mean, if you want to win tournaments, just buy a Cathay Army.
yeah,
Just go do that.
yeah. Okay, so this is from left to right then. Do you want to have a little chat about it quickly?
Well, yeah, I'll be testing my memory. So, got the beautiful core horse archers. Two of the things on screen at the moment I painted in a few days before the tournament, but they turned out all right. But it's basically, I think there was a core of five horse archers, which I think I had 2 units of those, and they just MVP throughout the whole tournament because they just go and sit on an objective, kill some stuff. And then we've got the two Necro Sphinx, and then in the middle is actually a Tomb King on Tomb Dragon. I'm calling it the embodiment of the Destroyer of Eternities. Because my theme for my Tomb Kings is Tomb No Kings. So in this case, he's a big construct instead. But the idea behind the army was actually that king doesn't have any kind of ward save. He's just got the Destroyer of Eternities. He's pretty bare bones. So he's got like an administration staff of chariots and other hangers on that somehow magically jump in the way whenever anything shoots, hits, or throws some harsh language at him. So you can see a little chariot at the back there. That's actually a herald that kept the king alive, or the big beetle alive throughout the whole thing. And then yeah, we've got the big block of Tomb Guard there. I was thinking like take loads of skeletons, but I was like one. I want to get through 6 turns, and I love the old metal Tomb Guard models. You will note none of them have shields. Maybe they'll get some shields now. I'm a bit more interested in the game again, but yeah, it's a block of the metal Tomb Guard. Yeah, there we are. So
They're
they.
lovely models, those ones.
What's that? Sorry.
I like those models a lot.
Yeah, they're really cool, and if you're batch painting, they're a bit simpler than the plastic ones.
Are they from sixth edition, are they?
I believe they would be, yeah. So whenever the derivative happened with, or where Undead divided, I think that's
Yeah.
when these kind of came out as the new Tomb Kings. So I don't think there was Tomb Guard ahead of
Yeah.
that. I think there's Grave Guard, but no Tomb Guard. Then we've got a detachment there with the old model of Calidar on the side, and then they were basically archers. Your obligatory 10 the skirmishers. That was the smallest amount I thought I could get away with. A couple of carrion hiding out in the back, doing the same idea as your gyrocopters. The idea is, fairly mobile Tomb King's list. These guys can march over, go and sit on a baggage train or whatever it might be, or worst case, just get in the way of something if they need to. And then we've got some the horse archers on the end there as well.
Yeah, so this photo I think is after my turn one,
Yeah,
or at least the movement phase of my turn one, where I've just the ranger scouted in the middle of the table next to that
yeah.
special feature, and then I've moved up my big brick with the characters in it to go alongside the rangers. Um, and I've got my Iron Drakes more in the center, or actually no, to the right of the center there. Um, Baggage Train and Anvil of Doom in the center as well. And your sort of monsters are all on the left there, or your right.
Looking like they're going to do something, right?
Yeah, well, see this
Ready to strike.
there's little skirmishes going on each flank between gyrocopters and horse archers. But the main fight would happen in the middle of the table. Um, but then, I mean, you make a curious decision, and I'm interested to get your thoughts looking
Yeah.
back on it now. And I'm putting you on the spot here. But if you look in that picture, right, your Tomb Guard immediately start pivoting away from where the fight might happen.
Yeah, it was an interesting one, really. I was like, very conscious. Would have been a more fun game if I'd come and fought you. But I've played Dwarfs so many times. My brother plays Dwarfs, and so many derivatives of Dwarfs in Eighth Edition and in Old World even as well. And I'm like, I know how that fight's going to go. It's like I might win round one, I might also win round two, but one or other of those units is just going to, that's to say, let's say the dragon and the two sphinxes went in on one or both units. The other one's then going to get them in the side and slowly,
Oh,
slowly.
I agree. But
Yeah.
if you get the Tomb Guard as well with the combat res of the Tomb Guard,
Yeah, yeah. I think I was probably more cautious with that one. Potentially the Tomb Guard had gone in, but for this one, I was like, do you know what? I'll have a crack at some of the
yeah.
objectives instead. And I think instead of going and fighting you, I decided to go and fly over you instead of that.
Because I agree with your
Yeah,
analysis for the monsters because they'd fly in, do a bunch
yeah.
of damage, but it wouldn't be enough to properly break me. And then I would come in with loads of combat res
Mm.
and then probably pop your monsters
Yeah, slowly whittle
afterwards.
down one
Yeah.
at a time, gone. Yeah, which is where all of the kind of the money is spent from the list.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
I
if you
don't
had
know.
but
I was
if you had the
thinking,
big block of Tomb Guard in there
could have really swung it
with
for
the
sure.
ranks and the banner and the infantry, and then it kind of evens it up a bit. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
what can I say? So I just got
Yeah.
scared. I saw all these dwarfs, angry, 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 red-faced dwarf guy in the middle with his chain swinging about. What's his name?
Oh,
The
the Doomseeker in the middle
I
there.
was like, he's going to be a pain in the ass at some point. I reckon he probably could have
Yeah.
really stung that dragon pretty badly. So I was like, I could go and gamble on this. And to be fair, my game against Nick, I did do a gamble. I said it was a big plate of beef, but that could have really gone
Mm.
either way when I sent the dragons. I tried to get the Tomb Guard in. I got the dragon and the two Sphinx into it. And it was a bit touch and go for a while, and eventually they did win out. So maybe he was a bit braver in that game after we got a draw. I was like, you probably need to actually go and fight some stuff, James. But with this one, I was like, yeah, I don't know. Plus, we've played so many games. I think you're probably. I mean, we've played quite a few games. I think you're probably up one or two games on me. If we're to kind of tally up. I was like, well, at least get a draw against Simon. You can't let him beat you again. So I think they're probably some of the things going through my head. There
Yeah.
was also, I was like, I probably overestimated how much I could get from the objectives. So I was like, well, I got your baggage train. I bump noses with your kind of oath, well, not oath stone. What's the guy, the wizard
Oh,
guy?
the anvil.
The anvil. I think
Yeah.
that one of the Sphinx got to him,
Yeah.
and just gave him a gentle greeting. But I don't think I got enough on the objectives actually to swing it. So, I thought I'd probably gotten a bit more on that and actually could have gotten away fairly risk-free. But
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
probably what ended up was a relatively uninteresting game for you or frustrating game for you and
Well, it
me.
was
Me
interesting
not getting a lot out of it, because like I should have just fought you.
well, it was interesting to sort of think about the psychology of it because with
Mm.
dwarves you don't get to charge. They have to charge you, and so if you're presenting something that is not appetizing to charge, then in
Yeah.
a sense you've made a mistake in the list, right? And but I guess I was thinking because so the destroyer of eternities is killing blow, right?
Well, yeah, that's it. You basically, it's quite an interesting one, and probably why it specifically worked well against that Beastmen list or army. I hate saying list, that army,
Yeah.
because you can choose, you can either roll to hit normally and it has killing blow, strength +2, AP 2, or you can roll D6 automatic hits.
Yeah.
And when you're up against things like slug skin, that's always the better option to take, even if you get
But either way, it's killing blow, isn't it?
yeah, either way,
Yeah.
it's killing blow. So yeah, and then the two sphinxes have that too. I think you had that BSB, didn't you, that's immune to it. And I had visions of kind of being stuck in a
Yeah.
challenge with him for forever. Or, maybe your king. Although your king would probably
I don't
suffer from
know.
the,
I mean,
the
so I
killing
mean,
blow, right?
the Thane only has 5 wounds on the shield bearers,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
And
I've probably just played dwarfs too many times. So
yeah,
and I was like,
the king,
yeah,
I've got the toughness 10 king, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
That is what I would normally use to for a dragon to challenge a dragon with.
But with killing blow,
But
yeah,
with
it's
killing
too
blow,
risky.
that's
Yeah,
risky, yeah,
yeah.
because if you get D6 attacks, it could pop up. But obviously, the Thane's immune to the killing blow, but he's easier to kill. And I would have probably done the challenge with either a champion or the Thane and tried to keep my king out of that.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, it would have been interesting to see
Yeah,
how it goes next
we
time.
should
I'll
have another matchup and see how that actually goes. I
yeah
would be curious. I mean, certainly of the Tomb Guard, I think you're absolutely right there. The Tomb Guard went in. I think there's a very real chance that those guys to do it. But in the heat of the moment, it was like, I'll fly over his head. You'll love that.
yeah. So that's turn two, isn't it? And my
Yeah.
gyrocopters are buzzing around. Um, oh, there we go. Yeah. So maybe they drop bombs on your tomb guard. I can't remember now.
I think they did. They got quite close to my Hierophant there. That's the guy
Yeah.
waving his arms around at them, asking them to land. But
And then you got a wind blast on one of the
I
gyrocopters.
think I got one of them, yeah, and I was like, well, now you can't get my. I think that probably cemented the idea for me getting objectives was when I took. That was probably the only thing that was realistically going to get my baggage train.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, let's go for gold on these objectives. I think that's possibly what I was thinking at the time as well.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Mm.
then yeah. So that's turn three, isn't it? Where you decide not to charge, and then one of your Sphinx goes round the back.
Yeah, sneaking around like
Yeah.
the big stone statue that he is, very stealthily.
And
Yeah,
he ends up getting the baggage train
yeah, I got the
and then
baggage
having a go
train.
at the anvil.
Yeah, I think yeah, I think what do we get to? Turn 4 or 5 or whatever it was, and I think he was just sniffing
Yeah.
around that anvil. Although I did get another anvil in my last game. It also was against dwarfs. I think against a guy called Adam, who's also on our chat group, really nice guy. And I think decided to send the dragon into the anvil because they're actually surprisingly tough with the ward save and everything
Mhm.
else, aren't they? So
Yeah, yeah,
it's going to take more than a Sphinx or a few turns of Sphinx wailing on it to get it off the table.
yeah, yeah. And then the Tomb Guard come round the other side. Obviously, we're playing the special feature as Impassable there, the Christmas tree.
Oh,
Um,
yeah. That important location, yeah.
yeah, yeah. But then sort of what evens it up for a draw for me is that on, I guess, turn four, I'm able to concentrate my shooting on the Tomb Guard to reduce the unit strength.
Yeah, that was it, wasn't it? And I think
Yeah.
you got the middle one.
And then
Yeah.
I get the special feature at the end. Yeah.
Yeah. After me messing around all that time, you got it. Yeah.
Because I get the Cinder Blast bombs and all that.
Yeah. It was actually a pretty formidable amount of shooting that came out of him in the end, wasn't it?
Yeah. And then there's a magic missile from the anvil,
Mm,
and then the templates from the gyrocopters and things like that.
yeah.
Um, and
So in
then,
hindsight, really, to your point, I think getting those Tomb Guard and the two dragons would have been the way to go. But also bear in mind, I haven't played this game for like, quite some time, or at least not in any competitive sense, and not with Tomb King. So I'm like, oh, don't go and get like tabled in your first game. It's also what's running through my mind, right? So yeah,
yeah,
there's a few things I would say. I mean, I'd love to. We should get another game in. Really, I'd love to have a kind of replay of this one and see how it pans out if we do get an actual scrap with the main unit.
so that gyrocopter there, you can see in the middle, I painted that just before the event.
Oh, nice, yeah.
That was,
They look really good. I really like your dwarf armies.
cheers, man. Yeah, I've
Yeah,
got, there's been some
really
more
nice,
pictures of this.
like theme, consistent. Like, yeah, they look really, really high quality.
Oh, yeah, so I've got some other pictures of some of the other armies. We
Oh,
can
nice,
chat
yeah.
about them.
This,
Um,
I think that's Adrian. So he's also in our chat group locally. So he's got a million armies as well. I
oh,
think
yeah.
what we haven't got between the two of us is probably possibly isn't worth getting. So
Well, I thought this was worth taking a picture of, first of all,
yeah,
the old school Lord of Change,
yeah, it's cool. Actually.
and then the old metal dragon ogres on incorrect base sizes.
Friendly tournament.
Yeah, yeah,
He,
yeah,
he did say actually, I think he needed to rebase everything really quickly because I think he'd signed up to it and it was like, oh crap, it's this week. So he got all his chaos guys onto different bases and things like that.
I meant that as a compliment in a way, though, because obviously
The correct size,
all my
yeah,
the
the
correct
correct
size of
size.
base, exactly. Yeah, yeah. And those metal Lord of Change models, I remember that um, sort of those. In fact, all of those greater demons came with all different types of heads
Yeah,
and arm choices, didn't they? And there was like 10 different ways of building them.
really nice sets, and they spanned a few different game systems. I quite like Warhammer Quest and Advanced Hero Quest, and there was rules for them in Advanced Hero Quest as well, and even pictures of the models with the kind of gawky kind of heads, which yeah,
Yeah,
so cool. This looks familiar.
there it is. Oh,
The
and that's your
two
baggage train
kittens.
at the front there.
Yeah, that's Ozzy and Cleo, my two cats.
That's pretty cool. Yeah. Oh, and oh, I see. Yeah, yeah, you do have two cats. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah, there you go. Tomb kittens or whatever we want to call
yeah.
them.
Very good. Very good.
Yeah,
Um,
that was a big tray of beef. That this is Nick's army. So
yeah.
yeah, somehow the dragon and two sphinxes slowly munched through that. But one of the sphinxes dropped, but really that D6 and the stomps was what made it against
So
that.
they're not unit fillers then. They're actual
No, no, they are like Minotaur Lord,
Minotaurs. Yeah.
Minotaur BSB. Yeah, there's a couple of mages in there as well. So it was a real old school Death Star. This is a kind
Yeah.
of thing you'd have seen maybe early eighth edition before
Love it.
Death Stars went out of vogue.
Well, I mean, at eighth, they didn't. It's not that they. I mean, you're right. They did go out of vogue in that not every army has them, but
Mm.
some armies might have them.
Yeah, I mean, you
Yeah.
still see them, didn't you? But I
Yeah.
think, certainly my experience coming in much later, there's fewer and few. Mostly
Yeah.
because, again, you stick that little unicorn in front of it and that big Death
Yeah.
Star just going like
Yeah.
this slowly down. There's so many ways to mitigate it. I mean, you don't want to fight the thing generally, or
Yeah.
at least until you're ready. But yeah,
I don't think any army should have a 50-point unicorn or whatever it is, 40 points.
That
I
was
don't think
big.
any army should
I
have.
mean, to be fair, that was Storm and Magic, really. So
Yeah,
you wouldn't say it was in the mainstay of the rules. But yeah, those unicorns very cheeky. But Bretonians needed them then, though. I mean, both Bretonians and Tomb Kings were woeful in
yeah.
Eighth Edition. Certainly in my hands, they wouldn't be very good.
Some of
Some
these
more
dwarfs
dwarfs.
here.
Yeah.
Um, I thought that was quite a cool baggage train. I guess it's a baggage train, right?
Yeah, these are really nice. I think this is Adam's army. These look really
Okay,
cool as well. I think I played
yeah.
in the last game.
And these, I guess they're 3D printed dwarfs, are they?
I think the mainstay of them is, do you know, I'm not so familiar with the more
Yeah.
recent dwarf model. I think some of them are the real deal. I say real deal, but Games Workshop ones, and some are not. I'm not too sure, to be honest.
I don't
Really
see any
nice though.
Games Workshop models there.
Yeah, you'd have a better eye for it than me on dwarfs.
Oh, the cart is Games Workshop. There's
Uh,
Bugman there.
yes, yeah, yeah.
Oh, sorry, no, that bolt thrower looks like it's Games Workshop, but not
Hmm,
the crew.
possibly not then.
Yeah. Um, oh, Chaos Army there, very colourful one.
Yeah, that was cool. I really like that one.
Yeah. Um, oh yeah, this is the one
They
that
won. Yeah, yeah.
won Best Painted, right?
Yeah, so this guy, I'm saying it might be Jack. I think his
I
name's
don't know
Jack. I'm
Jack's name.
sorry if this is not the person's name. When I was saying I got into more of the narrative-based play, I saw this army he was playing as part of that as well, as part of the Empire faction. This was really cool, wasn't it? Really interesting
Yeah.
army.
Oh yeah, and it's got a lovely paint, like artistic style to it, isn't it?
Mm.
Perhaps not so close up. You look at it from a like a distance,
Yeah,
and
as
it's
like a
got
piece of work, it feels like
yeah,
an art installation as much as a Warhammer army, right?
yeah, yeah, and just like really nice sculpts as well.
Yeah, I think he
Um,
was saying he scratch built the two tanks, the two steam tanks, which are on either flank there.
mm,
So yeah, you could look at that all day, I think.
yeah, 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 lovely one.
Hey, Chaos Dwarfs,
Yeah, so I voted for
what
this
you should have
army.
brought.
I voted. This is James, isn't it? Yeah, I voted for this for best painted. I
Yeah,
mean, obviously I'm a big fan of these models. It's not all the old metal ones. There's some plastic
yeah,
ones,
some bits in between, but
but
yeah,
it's all that style, you know.
yeah,
Yeah, and I think the basing's really nice as well.
yeah.
It's
Like
kind
that.
of like ice uh, theme to it. Yeah, that's a lovely one. Oh yeah, there was a Skaven army.
Yeah, yeah, that was cool. I wish I'd
Yeah,
spent, I would have liked to have played against Skaven. That's the Forge World. What's it called? Vermin Lord or Exalted Vermin Lord model.
yeah,
Yeah, that's a really
that's
cool
a
one.
big one. Yeah.
Yeah.
What was he running that as? I can't. I think he told me, but I can't remember now.
I'm not too sure. I imagine a hell pit or something
They
like
have
that.
a help it, do they? Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
probably. I don't know, but probably I would have thought.
And I guess that's a objective token at the front there
You think so, maybe? Some
on a
rats,
little round
maybe.
base.
My cats would have loved that.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that Queek model as well. It's a
Yeah,
nice
it's
sculpt.
awesome. The head taker one, that's the guy with the two swords there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a
Yeah.
good model. I don't actually have it. It was one of the armies I wouldn't. I've got a few Skaven models. Like I've got that Vermin Lord, for example. But
Mm.
it's one of the few armies I haven't collected, but do really quite like the style of.
Yeah.
But I'd never get one painted. To be fair,
Yeah.
there's just
Yeah.
so
That's
many.
the thing. It's a
Yeah,
big commitment, isn't it, to
it
do a state
is.
card?
Yeah, yeah.
I used to love the old plastic monopose clan rats.
Yes, the very early ones that were in Warhammer Quest and Hero Quest, or the slightly.
Yeah, no, both. Yeah, I'm actually
Yeah.
talking about the fourth edition ones, slightly later than they were in the third ed box set, weren't they, with all the other?
Yeah, plastic shield and the sword. They'd occasionally have different weapons as well. Yeah, I quite like them.
Yeah, they were lovely. Um, oh yeah, so that's Gwillim's Dark Elves, which I played on Games
Yeah,
Workshop.
Yeah, it's really good painting, Willem. I think I showed you on that his baggage train where he painted the reflection of
Yeah.
the Seamaster. It's insane, you know. I'm so bad at freehand. I was like, you know, I did some stars on a wizard's cloak, and it's like that took me forever. And
Mm.
then this guy's just banging out like an accurate reflection that also respects the distance between the mirror and the
Oh yeah.
subject. How'd you do that, man? That's crazy.
Yeah, that was crazy. Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I'll do freehand on a banners here and there.
Yeah, I do a little bit, you know,
Um,
but not someone's face.
no.
It's ridiculous.
Oh yeah, and the Cold One Knights,
Yeah, they're nice.
who
The
just
ocean.
stayed at the back of the board all game
I imagine, yeah, yeah, it's a hard time playing Dark Elves. I mean, maybe I
yeah.
should get back into them. I wouldn't feel bad about using them in this edition at all. I think you're
Yeah.
generally considered a hero if you put them on the tabletop.
Yeah. Exactly. Oh, and this is the dwarf army that I played, or was the chap's name Sam? Or was it Sam? Yeah, Sam, I think so.
Mm.
There's something missing in that picture though. Oh, the Rangers are missing. Yeah,
Ah, okay.
there's a unit of Rangers as well.
Got you.
Um,
Nice.
yeah, again, these dwarf models are a third party manufacturer. I really like the aesthetic of them.
Mm.
Um,
They match really well, and you know, both a gift and a curse with Old World is, you know, as a product or holistic product, it is just all over the shop, isn't it? You got models from even if you would say, right, I'm just going to buy GW stuff. You've got models from 1987 through
yeah,
the 80s, the 90s, and you know, all within one army, and then some modern models that are twice the size. So,
yeah,
if
yeah,
anything, they've kind of shot themselves in the foot because it makes it more okay, you know, even more, you know, to have third party or 3D printed models because it doesn't have a consistent feel across the range anyway.
yeah.
So, you know, they
Yeah,
fit
it is
in
funny. They're
nicely.
releasing new Marauders on 30 mils, and then at the same time releasing 1990s halberdiers.
Yeah, which I
Models as
like,
well.
you know, I love all the old models, but you
Yeah,
know, it takes, you know, sorry to go on a tangent about Games Workshop. They rely on a lot of goodwill from their customers. You know,
yeah,
if I was to go and launch, you know, any company to go and launch Old World as a product tomorrow, you know, you got a rule book that's 50 quid that is totally redundant.
yeah,
You've got, you know, models that span from, you know, early 80 or 80s, 90s, 2000s and whatnot, skeletons from goodness knows when in one army. You know, you could have a 2025 model and an 87 model, and
yeah,
that's the
yeah,
product they're selling, you know, and
yeah,
it's
yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah, the rule book bugs me. I'm gonna say that they should do a discount on the rule book and they should include the FAQ as a lovely printed extra for it. I would say at this point, but you know,
Absolutely, yeah.
I
Well,
digress.
yeah.
Yeah,
They should release, if you've bought the rule book, or even for everyone, they should just release a properly updated PDF
yeah,
of the rule book.
something nice, you know, as a like,
Yeah,
hey, sorry, but you
yeah.
know, yeah.
Or well printed add-ons, or even just like new pages that you can sort of stick into your old rule book or what.
Something like that, you know,
Yeah, yeah,
and just it's egregious to sell it for like it's like the 45 or 50 quid. And you imagine you're a new player. Not, I mean, you know, this fictional new player. A lot of the people,
yeah, yeah,
you know, will look on the internet and are aware of internets and will find things. But you go into a store, you bought it, and you go and play your mate, and your mate's like, "Yeah, none of that. It
yeah, yeah,
doesn't work anymore." You're like, "No, I just spent 50 quid on, you know."
yeah, yeah. But that's my only criticism of these dwarf models is that
Yeah,
they're
sorry,
a
yeah,
lot
yeah.
bigger. They're a lot bigger than my dwarf models.
All right, well, they're just better fed.
Well, exactly, yeah, and so well because they're made for 25 mil bases in my
Well, exactly, yeah. They look great. I mean, they fit the aesthetically perfectly, really, don't they?
yeah, yeah. What was this? That Beastman.
A beastman by the looks of it.
Yeah, that's. I mean,
That's cool, that, yeah. I didn't spot these, I don't think, or didn't look at them enough. That's really interesting.
yeah, I mean they're not GW, are they?
I guess not, no, no.
And yet
They're
Beastmen
nice,
can
though.
look really cool when they're dark and you can't even quite make out what you're looking at.
Mm,
Yeah.
that's cool, that. Is that Bretonians? Aha.
I think it was Renegades, Crowns,
Ah,
wasn't it?
yes, yeah, yeah. That's right.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So that was a pretty cool one.
See the renegade form of crab there at a million million
Yeah.
strong pikemen.
Well, that's a marching column now, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly, and they can fight like that too. I do like the renegade crowns actually. As I'm painting up this Empire army, I feel it could be used either as Empire or renegade crowns. I do quite fancy them.
Did you say they could fight like that?
So the rules for I think you basically purchase yeah, I forget all of the names for them, but they're essentially their basic swordsmen. You can then give a buff to them whereby they count as in combat order, even if they're only four wide or
Ah,
whatever it might be, as long as they have yeah, so they can basically fight like that.
yeah, yeah,
I don't think they're a tremendously strong faction. They're rated like lower tier. But there's just something interesting. I think you could probably, if not build them to win, at least build them so you don't lose. I would feel with
yeah,
them. But yeah, I just quite like them because they've got some wacky models that I think would look cool in that army.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, that was some lovely painted armies at the event.
Yeah, really enjoyed that. Yeah, that was
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, it took me back. It was only about say 10 days ago. I was like, it's good to
No,
reminisce.
but the level at Old World or Warhammer Fantasy tournaments is crazy. Like,
Oh yeah, people are
yeah,
really invested. You can see the passion in it for
yeah.
sure.
I mean,
You
just a random event in London, one day. Um, there was hardly any unpainted models there,
Yeah, which is amazing.
and most of the armies painted to a high standard.
Mm.
Um,
I think that's it. It's like any criticism, and I have a lot, as I'm sure we all do, of the rules and things like that. I think generally is mitigated by the community at large, or at least everyone I've kind of played with Old World. It's always just such fun, and
yeah,
even if you are just moaning about, this, that, or the other at the end of the game, I think that. That probably, as I say, I'm getting back into the game is a pull. Both have
yeah,
done narrative stuff and this, my first tournament since it came out. And like, that's a big pull for it, I would say. Eighth edition is always in my heart. That was the thing that I found when I returned to the game. So,
yeah,
any day of the week, I'm gonna have a game of that. But, I think the community that's kind of, building around the old world is a real selling point for it. And I think also Games Workshop bloody lucky really because it's like I think there was just so much pent demand and
mm,
passion for a another fantasy game that it's probably surprised them more than anything I would say.
yeah, definitely. Yeah, yeah. And I totally agree. Yeah, as you said, eighth ed's in my heart, but I really enjoy the Old World tournaments. And at the moment, I'm playing more Old World than I am eighth ed.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, naturally, I mean,
yeah.
you're gonna find games more easily. Everyone's talking about it, and it's the new thing. So, yeah.
That said, we hope to run London Legends again in
Yeah,
2026.
please. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go to. What was it? What was it? At Thundercock. I think it's
Yeah,
called, in February. I'm gonna do that one, and then yeah, I'm really hoping you guys do the London Legends. And what I think, so I came third this year, and I was so close, so close to winning that tournament. Oh my goodness!
that
So,
podium position.
I know. I was like really going to go for it this year, although I'll probably use exactly the same army and hope for different
Yeah.
results. But yeah, yeah. I'll be sad if you stop doing those.
Well, not just yet. Anyway.
Yeah,
Well, thanks for joining me for this
yeah.
discussion. It's been fun.
Thank you for having me on, Simon. That was good fun. That yeah.
You mentioned the Thundercock. Have you got any other Old World events planned?
No, but I'm going to go to some in the new year. There's
Yeah.
a War Master tournament I've been trying to go to and always forget about. So there's tickets I think coming up in January and that's in April. So I want to go to that. Old World, if I can get to a square-based one, I think I'd really want to give that a try. Maybe some GT or other, but generally try to, get myself going into
Yeah.
a few more of those, I would say. Probably
Yeah,
will.
I want to get back up to Nottingham as well.
Hmm.
I'll let you know when I'm going and see if we can coordinate it. But yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that'd be good. That I think if I can get my Empire painted, I'll probably use Empire. But we'll see how we go.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, dude. Well,
Cool. Thanks, Simon.
thanks
Yeah, that
very
was good
much.
fun.